Hi everyone, today I'm talking about 11 mistakes that are keeping you constipated. And no, I'm not going to tell you to just eat more fiber, drink more water, exercise, and if that doesn't work, just take a laxative, because we all know that doesn't work. And I swear the people that say that all the time have never been constipated and don't know how unhelpful that is. Instead, I'm going to cover 11 specific mistakes I see people make all the time that once they fix these, they start having daily complete bowel movements. Many of these things are things that I learned on my own journey. I had chronic constipation and IBS for 15 years, and for most of that time I was only having 2 to 3 bowel movements a week. Now I am fully healed. I healed 6 years ago, and now I have 1 to 2 bowel movements nearly every single day. I hardly ever miss a day. And I was making 6 of the mistakes that I'm about to cover. And the other 5 are things that I have seen my clients make mistakes with. And yeah, I'm very excited to share these with you because I've just seen changing these 11 things has made a world of difference for myself and my clients. So let's get into them. The very first mistake you could be making is increasing fiber or taking a fiber supplement. So if you've just Googled how to heal constipation or seen a doctor, you've probably been told you need more fiber. Fiber will add bulk and push things along. Now, this does not make any sense when you take it one step further, and that is you're constipated, you're backed up, you have too much in your colon that your body is not getting out. Adding more stuff, more bulk, more fiber to your colon is only going to back you up further. If there is a traffic jam, adding more cars will slow everything down and just make it take longer until the roads are back to normal and going at a normal pace. So adding more fiber is like adding more cars to a traffic jam. Just remember that. Fiber is adding bulk. Now, you might be just trying to eat more fiber, as in trying to eat more whole grains and trying to eat more plants and veggies and things like that. Or you might be taking a fiber supplement, so something like psyllium husk or a combination of different fibers in a supplement. Either way, I really don't recommend that. I especially don't recommend lots of grains and seeds for fiber. Some veggies and fruit is most likely going to be just fine, but don't go for like tons of plants all the time. And I'll get more into some dietary tips in the later mistakes as well. I also want to note that there was this study of 63 people, I'll link it down below, who had idiopathic constipation. So basically that's constipation with an unknown cause. And it looked at the effects of 6 months of a no fiber diet, a low fiber diet, and a high fiber diet, and how that affected bowel movement frequency. So 41 participants who completely stopped all of their fiber intake, so this is pretty much just a carnivore diet, had their bowel frequency increase from 1 bowel movement every 3 3/4 of a day, this is an average, to 1 every single day. That's a huge difference. And of the 16 participants who reduced their dietary fiber intake, so they had lower fiber, their bowel movement frequency increased from 1 bowel movement every 4.19 days. Remember, their averages, that's why it's kind of a weird number, to 1 every 1.9 days. So that's like twice as often. And then there was 6 participants who remained on a high fiber diet, and they had no change in the frequency of their bowel movements. So that was 1 every 6.83 days. So that's like a little more often than once a week. So there was also a correlation between low fiber intake and lower symptoms associated with constipation. I'll pop a table up on the screen so you can see what I mean here and some of the symptoms that improved. So anyway, I heard about this study a long time ago, and it really impacted me to realize, like, whoa, if you have no fiber at all or just low fiber, things will actually move a lot easier. Now, a misconception is that your bowel movements are just like fiber and just from your food, but that's actually not true. Your bowel movements are basically the waste from your entire body. So this is dead cells, dead tissues, things that just needed to be repaired, and the waste products from that. So even if you eat 0 fiber, if you're completely carnivore, you will still have bowel movements, and they'll actually still be a decent size as well. So anyway, I'm not trying to tell you eat 0 fiber. I did not do that. And I will note that it's not one size fits all. Some people are eating like no fiber or very low, and increasing a little bit helps them. So not everybody's the same, but in general, I see people eat way too much fiber. I was one of those people. I was vegan vegetarian for the majority of the time. I had my gut issues, so I was just pounding down grains and raw veggies and fruits and just so much, and it backed me up so bad. But anyway, so just realize that eating a little bit less fiber, especially reducing those grains and nuts and seeds, is going to help you a lot. So mistake number 2 is taking laxatives. So first off, I suggest that you never go down the laxative route to begin with. Now, if you're thinking, oh no, I already have, don't worry, I'm going to get to what you can do. But if you're considering laxatives and you're constipated, just don't go down that route, because people that have taken laxatives regularly have a harder time overcoming their constipation. They still can, but it takes a lot more work and it's a lot harder. So by laxatives, I mean things like Miralax, I mean osmotic laxatives, and I mean things like herbal laxatives like Senna. Senna is effective, but it works by irritating your gut lining. So it is not a good long-term solution. So not only do laxatives not treat the root cause of your constipation, they just damage your intestines and weaken your colon muscles and actually make things a lot worse and make you more dependent. So some laxatives work by drawing more fluid to kind of flush everything out, but your colon muscles don't have to work as hard and they can get a little weaker with time. And then other laxatives work by, like I said, irritating your colon, irritating your gut lining, and like forcing you to have a bowel movement. Both of these cause long-term damage, and they also cause dependence. So really avoid taking laxatives. It's best if you just never take them to begin with. If you currently are taking laxatives on occasion, I would just stop that right now and don't rely on them anymore. And what you can do instead is treat the root causes of your constipation, and there's some other things that you can do to help stimulate bowel movements that aren't necessarily a root cause fix, but they also don't cause any dependence. So like drinking coffee, or for some people specific things like stewed apples or prunes or certain juices can be helpful, or eating rendered fat, things like that can help with constipation. And if you want like a guide on exactly what to do to treat both the root cause and have some quicker fixes for your constipation, I have a constipation checklist that is completely free, and you can get it. I will link it down below if you want to get that constipation checklist and just learn what you have to do every single day to overcome your constipation. Now, if you are taking laxatives daily right now, you need to get off. And I know that it is scary, because when you get off, you don't have bowel movements and it doesn't feel good. But remember that your state right now is constipated, and your state right now is going like 5 or 6 days between bowel movements and feeling uncomfortable. The laxatives are just giving you this like artificial comfort and feeling of healing. So you're not going backwards. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. You can make it less uncomfortable by doing things like I talk about in that constipation checklist, but you do have to get off. Now, you don't have to go cold turkey. You can go cold turkey if you want. If you're really afraid of the discomfort and just this is freaky for you, go slow. It'll be better on your mind. It'll be an easier transition. But if you're like, I am done with these stupid laxatives and I'm ready to heal, you can go cold turkey and it's okay. So anyway, you can do either one, but I would just say if you're weaning off, be careful not to give yourself too much time, or you're not going to be getting off them. So I would give yourself like 2 weeks to wean off maybe, and just go very gradually. But anyway, so if you're taking laxatives, you really need to wean off of them in order to heal. And if you haven't taken laxatives, I recommend just completely avoiding them to begin with. They are not good for you. Mistake number 3 is turning to enemas too often. Now, I am not opposed to enemas. They can be very helpful. However, I don't think that they should be used every day, and I don't think that they really should be used ideally more than once a week, but there are some cases where where it's a little bit different. Now, if you are constipated and every once in a while you're just like, I can't take this anymore, I have to get it out, you do an enema and it helps you, that is okay. You can do water enemas, you can do coffee enemas, you can do tea enemas. There's an Ayurvedic tea that's called like Basti, and it's like 11 or 9 or something different herbs mixed together that can be really good. So yeah, I will link, I talk about coffee enemas the most, so I'll link an article I have on exactly how to do that, but it's pretty darn similar for water or tea enemas. But anyway, so you can use them, but if you're using enemas every day, it's similar with the laxatives. You're not giving your body an opportunity to go. There's certain things in your body that have to happen to stimulate a normal, natural, healthy bowel movement. Your colon muscles have to contract in this pattern that's kind of like a wave. It's called peristalsis, and it like moves your stools along because it's like contracting and pushing it, and then it's like open and then it pushes, and I hope that makes sense. Anyway, there's like a wavy motion that's literally pushing your stools along. So you need to make sure those muscles are strong and used to working, and you have the nutrients that are needed for the muscle contraction and relaxation to happen. So if you're always just flushing everything out with enemas, you're not giving those muscles a chance to work, and you're just not having everything else that needs to happen in order to have a bowel movement. If you've never used them before and you've been interested, then I recommend only occasional use and no more than once a week. And I don't think enemas are something that you should do for a super long time either. So if you're working on healing your constipation and you need a little relief every week or every other week, but you're working on the root causes, and once you heal, you get off of them, and this is like a 3, 4, 5 month period where you're having enemas every week or every other week, like that's okay. But you really don't want to go more than that unless you're starting from a place of you've already done too many enemas. So if you are in a place right now where every single day or like every 2 or 3 days you're having an enema, you need to start having less. It's important for healing. Now, I'm not telling you just stop doing so many enemas and do nothing else. That's not good advice. You really need to work on the root causes of why you have constipation and healing that. That is so key. And then at the same time, you need to decrease your enema frequency, because now enema dependence is another cause of your constipation, and you need to address that by decreasing the frequency, getting your colon muscles stronger again, and getting your body used to having bowel movements again. So if you're going every single day right now, you can just start by going every other day for a little while. And then, in 2 weeks, you can go every 3rd day. And then in another 2 weeks, you can go every 4th day. And also, if you're not every day right now, but you're having like every 3rd day, it's good to give yourself that opportunity to go. So in general, I would recommend like waiting 4 or 5 days to see if you can have a bowel movement on your own. And then if you're so uncomfortable on that 4th or 5th day and you're like, I can't wait any longer, like then have an enema. But if you have a bowel movement, start your count from there. So basically you're starting to get your body having more regular ones. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it will help you in healing so much. Okay, mistake number 4 is not exercising. You're probably sick of hearing exercise to help constipation, because it doesn't work alone. And exercising and drinking more water and eating more fiber doesn't work alone. So eating more fiber, as I already discussed, I don't think is a good option. Drinking more water and exercising are actually good for constipation. It's just most people with chronic constipation need to do more beyond that. But with that being said, exercise is really important, and it does help a ton. For me personally, I danced, so I did ballet for 13 years, and that was amazing. But when I shifted to weightlifting and running instead, and doing it in the morning, it actually helped me have a lot more regular bowel movements, and it gave me that urge a lot easier. So I personally recommend more intense exercise. I think weightlifting and running are really great, but any form is good. But in my personal experience, more intense exercise does yield better results here. Another thing that's great is working out before you normally have your urge. So I will wake up, and now that I'm healed, I will honestly wake up and just have a bowel movement before I've even worked out sometimes. But my normal is to wake up, work out, drink some water, eat breakfast, have an urge, and then go. So exercise really, really helps to just move things along. When you're moving your body, you're helping move things in your colon. It just gets things moving a lot faster and really helps you. And then I know that it can be tempting to skip your workouts when you feel a lot of pain, especially if you're all bloated and your tummy hurts and it's gassy. And I know it doesn't feel good. So just try to do something, and don't get in your head too much, because a lot of times it actually makes it feel better. And if you just approach it as like, okay, this is my workout time. I said I was going to do this. I'm going to do it. And then you start, and then see how it goes. If you really feel worse, you can stop doing that specific exercise, maybe like crunches, or feeling horrible right now. You can stop and you can do something else instead. So you can always stop if it actually is feeling worse, but I find a lot of the time exercise will actually make it feel better. So don't skip your exercise. It is so important. And if you're not already exercising, you really should get in this habit. There was one point in college where I had kind of a funny schedule. I hadn't figured out all the parking stuff and whatnot. Anyway, it led me to have kind of a weird exercise routine where I had 3 weightlifting days in a row and then like 4 days off. I know, not a good schedule, but anyway, that was the past. And on that like 3rd and 4th rest day, when I like hadn't worked out, I would start to feel a little bit more backed up, and I would start to feel a little more bloated, and I just wouldn't feel as good. So it's really important to exercise. Mistake number 5 is letting yourself be a ball of stress. Now, stress inhibits your digestion, it slows down motility, and it tightens your anal sphincter, making it pretty much impossible to have a bowel movement when you are stressed. Now, I don't want you to stress about stress making all of your issues worse, but instead realize when you're stressing, like, oh my God, I haven't had a bowel movement. I feel so uncomfortable. What am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Or any other stresses in life. Realize this doesn't help. Stressing about it will not help. In fact, it will make it worse. Let's relax a little bit. And you really do need to address stress. This was massive for me. This was a huge component in overcoming my constipation. And a few things just for helping with stress are, 1, I find managing your time better is really helpful. So understanding how much you can actually get done in a day and how long it actually takes you to do these things, and not scheduling your whole day like back to back to back, but instead having more like wiggle room time in between. Just slowing down your whole life a little bit helps a ton with stress. And then also recognizing like what your biggest stressors are and what you can do to change it. If you're stressed because of your work, can you ask to change your hours? Can you get a different job? Can you, is there something you can ask for that would help you feel less stress about it? Can you work from home part-time? There's a lot of different options here. And if, like, say, same example, you're stressed with your work, and say you're too tight on finances to change things right now, or it's just not a good time to change things, and your work's not being very cooperative, there's nothing you can really change to make you feel a little less stressed about it, start planning your way out. Like, can you start getting a certification in something that'll help you to get a different job, and can you work on that for like a half hour a day, or you know what I mean? Just think about your way out, make your plan, and start working on that, and that will help a ton. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just like to give a few practical tips for managing stress. So I think like not overpacking your day is a huge one, and really brainstorming what is stressing you out and what you can do about it. And even if you can't like physically change something right now, you can always mentally change the way that you approach it, which easier said than done, but that's very important. So mistake number 6 is not making time to have a bowel movement. This was huge for me, and I see it all the time, but you really need to be relaxed to have a bowel movement. And most people have a time they normally go. It tends to be the morning for most people, and if you're rushing through your whole morning and not relaxing at all, that urge might just not come. And anyway, so you need to make time. It's kind of like how, if you've ever noticed, if you eat around the same time every day, you'll start to get hungry at that time. Your body's like anticipating food. So if you eat dinner at 6 o'clock every night, you might notice like 5:50, you start to get a little hungry. Or if something happened and day got away from you, you're eating a little bit later and it's like 6:30, you might be like, oh, I'm really hungry right now, like I need food. Your body gets used to these patterns, and it gets used to a pattern on having a bowel movement. So I recommend you pick a time that you're going to try to have a bowel movement every single day. Now this doesn't have to be like at 9:30 I have bowel movement, but it could be like in an order. So for example, for myself, if I ever have an urge, I always honor that and go let myself try to go. That's really important. If you ignore urges, that can worsen your constipation. So sometimes when I wake up and I'm getting ready to work out, I'll have an urge and I'll go. It's not my norm, but it does happen. Sometimes I'm just about to start my workout and that happens, and that's a little frustrating, but I remember how bad I felt when I was constipated, so I try to go, okay, I'm very happy that I have this now. But anyway, my routine is getting up, working out most days, not every single day, so like 5 days a week. But anyway, get up, work out, eat my breakfast, and I do drink coffee with breakfast, so that does aid in it, but I noticed I'm not dependent, so when I don't have coffee, I still go. And right after breakfast, like clockwork, every day I get like a really strong urge and I go to the bathroom. So having a routine like this for yourself, and if you're really struggling with constipation, the more things you can put up front that help, the better. So working out, eating a meal will help you. Drinking coffee can help you. Drinking more water can help you. Doing like a stomach abdominal massage to help move your stools along. That's something I talk about in that constipation checklist. Again, that's linked below. It's completely free and it's super helpful, so you should definitely check that out. But anyway, as many of those as you can put before, within reason, the better. So then when you are having a bowel movement, you also want to be in a good position. So squatting is a better position. It just aligns your intestines in a way that it's a lot easier to have a bowel movement. That's how you would have one out in nature. So you can just kind of, basically you want your knees above your hips, so you can kind of sit on the toilet and have your feet at the front, or you can have like an upside down trash can or chair or something to put your feet on, or you can get one of those squatty potties and kind of squat on the side. There's a lot of options. You can get creative, but just think about, you want your knees above your hips and it'll make it so much easier. And then when you are actually trying to go, you want to take your mind off of it, and you don't want to put pressure on yourself. You don't want to push, you don't want to strain. You just want to like let it happen. So you want to have time, at least 15 minutes of just sitting there. You can do something else at the same time. I think that's really helpful. It takes your mind off of it, so you can read, you can do some work, you can, if that's not stressful for you, you can look something up you've been wanting to look up, you can look something up on your phone, you can read, whatever, just something that takes your mind off of it. And I find this is so important. So if you don't get urges right now, just pick a time, do this every single day. It'll make a huge difference. And when you get urges, you can like modify it a little more to go with your urges. But yeah, just really make sure you're sitting there and your body knows like, okay, this is the time I can go. Mistake number 7 is not eating enough meat and animal fat. So meat is so wonderful for so many reasons, and this is coming from someone who is vegetarian for 10 years. But meat, honestly, introducing meat after being vegetarian made my bowel movements more regular. It was like a really big difference. So it's really helpful. It produces less waste. You're able to break down meat a lot easier than some plants, like grains and things like that are a lot harder to break down. So you can break it down, absorb the nutrients, and there's just way less waste, so it's not backing you up a bunch. Rendered animal fat is amazing. All animal fat is great, but if you can get rendered animal fat, so that's going to be like tallow or lard, or if you slow cook meat and some fat seeps out, or even the fat caps on the side are going to be really, really helpful for just lubricating your stools, loosening them up a little bit, and just making it way easier to pass. Also, eating these foods will give you more nutrients, and you need nutrients for every part of your digestive system to function properly, for your colon muscles to contract, to draw the right amount of fluid into your colon, so many other things. So eat meat. Too many veggies will constipate you. Too many plants will constipate you. You really need to be eating animal food. Now, for a time, I actually ate like really, really heavy animal food, and that helped a ton in my healing journey. I would have bacon, eggs, and hollandaise sauce and coffee for breakfast, and then I would have salami and cheeses, like fermented veggies, olives, bone broth, and liver pate for lunch every day. I really, really liked those meals. And then dinner would be some kind of like meat and veggie. So it'd be like steak and sauteed greens from my garden, or steak and caprese salad, or, you know, chicken Caesar salad, or something like that, some kind of meat and veggie combo. And then dessert would be like dark chocolate, sometimes peanut butter, fruit, stuff like that. But and milk. But I ate like super meat heavy for a long time, and that helped a lot. And I still eat very animal based, but I just have a little bit more flexibility now that I'm healed. Mistake number 8 is thinking that constipation is just a colon problem. Your colon is at the very end of your digestive tract, and there is so much more that happens before it. And I like to say, if one part of your digestive system isn't working optimally, it passes the burden on to the next. If you don't chew your food thoroughly enough, you have larger clumps of food that your stomach has to digest. If your stomach acid is not strong enough, it's not going to break things down as well and pass the burden on to your small intestine, and so on and so on. So if you're not digesting properly further up the chain, it's going to just have a lot more waste. So basically, if food isn't broken down into the smallest units, that's what's needed to happen for them to be absorbed into your bloodstream, there's going to be more waste. So fiber produced waste and undigested food also can end up as waste. So if your digestion isn't working well, you have more waste, it backs you up further. Also, if you have gut dysbiosis, so that's basically your microbiome being off and you have an overgrowth of certain microbes, this can really worsen constipation, because basically these microbes that overgrow produce a lot of gas, and this gas can draw fluid away from your colon or towards your colon, so it can also cause diarrhea. But if you got the constipation microbes, they're going to draw that fluid away from your colon and just make it that much harder. They'll make your stools more rocky and dry and compacted and hard to get out. So you really want to work on your microbiome. I have a lot of videos on that, but basically eat your ferments is huge, and avoid things like antibiotics, antibacterial soaps, and hand sanitizers and things like that can mess up your microbiome. And don't eat a bunch of sugar or alcohol. That's also going to mess up your microbiome. And then thyroid issues can also cause constipation, especially hypothyroidism. So if you have that, you definitely need to heal that at the root, because that can help with your constipation. Low stomach acid, all sorts of different things, low bile flow. Just make sure your entire digestive system is working properly. If you have other issues, work on healing those at the same time, because that'll help a lot. Nervous system issues definitely can contribute to constipation. So just realize constipation is not just a colon problem. Your whole body works together, and there's a lot of other things that can influence it. Mistake number 9 is taking iron supplements. Don't take iron supplements. They are typically made with synthetic iron, which is not good for you. It's actually linked to cancer and causing more yeast overgrowths and things like that you do not want. It is not hard to get iron in your diet. Liver is a great way to get enough iron in your diet. And if you're really struggling, spleen is like the richest iron source I know of, so that is a really great option. But if you're eating red meat, liver, and if you really need it, you can include some spleen. You can take supplements. You don't have to just buy spleen. I'll link my favorite organ supplements down below. But yeah, so if you are low in iron, there are lots of dietary ways that you can get your iron in. I would not recommend iron supplements. the vast majority of the time. And the thing is, iron supplements can severely constipate you. So if you're taking iron supplements right now and you stop, your constipation might go away with just that. You might need to do more things, but it makes a big difference. And just note that other supplements and medications can sometimes cause constipation. So if you're taking any, I would look at any side effects, reevaluate if you need them, possibly try not having them for a little while and see if it makes a difference. Mistake number 10 is eating gluten. Now, for so many people, gluten worsens constipation. I think the reason for this is because if you already have gut issues, gluten just doesn't work well for you. It can worsen leaky gut. It's hard to digest. Foods that have a lot of gluten in them, like bread and pasta, also have a lot of anti-nutrients in them that are really hard on your digestive system. So in general, gluten just doesn't work well for people with gut issues. You can have sourdough, properly prepared wheat in the future, and you can even have a little more wiggle room to have other things. But while you're constipated, while you have gut issues, I recommend you cut out gluten. This has worked really, really well for my clients and people that I've talked to. Some people I've talked to and just given a few tips, and they're like, oh my God, cutting out gluten cured my constipation. So I would avoid gluten. I think it's definitely something worth doing for a period of time to really heal your gut and really help with your constipation. Remember, it's not forever, but it does help a lot. Mistake number 11 is thinking low FODMAP is all you need diet-wise. For some reason, low FODMAP is just the go-to for a lot of people with constipation and a lot of recommendations. I'm not personally a fan. I just think an ancestral diet makes so much more sense and really teaches you what you need and what to avoid in a way that makes more sense and is more helpful. If you have found some help from it, that's awesome, and by all means continue with that. But remember that low FODMAP is not enough, because what low FODMAP is doing is basically identifying foods that tend to produce more gas and tend to kind of make you feel funny, and you're trying it out and kind of identifying which ones are working that way for you. But it's not just the food that's bloating you, it's that your gut is damaged. So I like to shift your focus to what foods are damaging my gut, what foods are causing the constipation, what foods will heal my gut, what foods will help my motility increase, what foods will help my colon heal and work properly again, and eat that. So you really need nutrients to heal. You want to eat gut-friendly foods, gut-healing foods. So remember, just avoiding foods you're sensitive to really isn't enough. You need to be focusing on what foods do I need to include to heal and what foods do I need to cut out because they're damaging my gut and I can't be eating those if I want to heal. And that sums up my 11 tips. Remember, I have that constipation checklist. So if you want to know what I recommend you do every single day to make complete daily healthy bowel movements your new norm, then I recommend you check that out. I have it linked below. It is very helpful. And if you want more help with this, I do actually work with people one-on-one in my program, Ancestral Gut Healing. So if you want to learn more about how I can help you to heal your constipation and other gut issues, I will leave a link down below where you can book a call with me, and I would love to talk to you and share my thoughts on what you need to change to heal your constipation and give you support with that. So if you're interested, book a call. I would love to talk with you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more videos on healing your gut naturally with an ancestral diet and holistic principles, that's what I talk about here. So consider subscribing, and thanks so much for watching.